July the 6th, 2019. Guys, you're looking at the endless solar wind prediction models. You got two graphs here. At the top, it's measuring plasma density, and that has to do with energy coming from our sun. The bottom graph has to do with the speed of that energy, or called the solar wind speed. And guys, the proton density is measured in centimeters cubed. And the thicker that is, the greater the impact is on the shields of our planet. Now, the sun is in the center, and the Earth is the green dot to the right. The red and purple dots at the top and bottom are stereo A and B satellites. Notice the timestamp at the very top on the 4th. The solar wind speed in the bottom graph on this green line is calm during that time. I've been watching it. We've been watching the magnetopause, which has been calm since the 4th relative to what we were seeing up until this point. But again, radial velocity will not increase until starting on the 8th. Now, this may be a problem. Again, we're in new science, new tech, a new age of science with global solar minimum and the ability to have the instruments to analyze it. Now, notice at the top, and this is going to be the problem, on the 8th, the plasma density is going to peak. On the 9th, starting with the 8th, the solar wind speed is going to pick up. Again, today is the 6th. And I'm going to let it play through, and then we'll come back and analyze it a little closer. Notice on the chart on the bottom, which is radial velocity in kilometers per second. You have, again, the top one is plasma density. You see that on the 4th, that first green cloud, again, very top graph, past the Earth. Now, on the 7th, we're going to start to approach this second green cloud. This is called plasma. This is, again, measured. It's proton measurement. But I'm going to stop it there. Tomorrow, on the 7th, we're going to see this rise in plasma density. Again, because of our shields and their weakness, all of these things seem to be affecting our planet. Notice, again, the bottom graph. Just behind the plasma density peak on the 8th, solar wind is going to peak on the 9th. So we got two things happening. Now, in this bottom chart, notice right here on the 4th, before the 5th started, we were into the earthquake. Solar wind, relatively calm, around 300 kilometers per second. We're going to see it approach 500 kilometers per second by the 9th. That's over 1,000,000 miles per hour. But the green dot here, right now you're kind of in a clear opening. That's us. That's the planet Earth. But that's changing. Watch the bottom graph. You see that orange teardrop? That's an increase in the radial velocity of the solar wind speed. Again, you're going to be approaching them over 1,000,000 miles per hour. At the top in the plasma density, again, that's a few hours ahead of the solar wind. In the same quarter graph there that you're looking at, that green wave, again, top graph, guys, let me back it up. Look at the very top. That came in and peaked as far as the density of the protons that's going to strike us in the solar wind stream. That will start tomorrow. The peak will be just before midnight tomorrow, UTC time. It will start by the 8th to decline. So we've got that event coming in tomorrow. Then the solar wind peaks on the 8th. What I'm saying is, this is the only indicators that I've seen to explain, other than the natural buildup of tectonic pressure on the plates there in California, guys, and up in Cascadia. Looking at your solar wind speed over 7 days, it's been relatively flat. Notice on the 4th, we saw some movement, and that's when we started seeing the larger quakes. Now, going into today, we're seeing an increase in solar wind speed, but it's still in the 400 range. We've seen this go at well over 1,000 kilometers per second, and higher than that. But what I'm saying, if it's going to increase, and we're seeing this jump today in solar wind speed, we got the 7.1, then what's it going to do when we go up into the 500 range? That's what I'm saying. These are the data points we have to watch, and because we don't have that many. But if you look at the earthquakes today, we've had approaching 600 aftershocks after the 7.1. And going back to the 4th, when this began, there's been over 2,300 quakes and aftershocks in this area. That's a lot, guys, and it's right there at your China Lake Air Force Base, and there's a lot. It's shut down. It's the epicenter of what's going on, and they test a lot of missiles. High explosives are tested there, both above ground and underground, and there's videos out there. You can check that out. So it's shut down. It may be a good time to not explode high explosives there in that area. But it's in a major fault area, and all this leads back west to the San Andreas Fault. And you're looking at maybe 100 or so miles northeast of Los Angeles. A couple other things that may be a factor. Now, again, we've got tectonic plate pressure that's been building. Now, sometimes it will take a trigger mechanism, such as a solar flare, something like that. We've seen it happen before. Coronal mass ejections, extremely high solar wind speeds coming from coronal openings on the surface of the sun. And someone mentioned, and thank you for that, to check the Data Buoy Center in this area, and that's one of the links on our website, guys. All of these are on BPEarthWatch.com, so don't forget that. But guys, this the buoy that moved is in that area just at the top of California. Come over to our website. You can come down and look here at the National Data Buoy Center. All of our links, 9 times out of 10, are there that we use in our videos. But you see that dot right here? That is a buoy that has had movement. And if you pull this up and look at it, it's just off of 2 different plates and 2 different fracture zones where you have subduction going under California. In other words, the Pacific Ocean is moving under California. One of the buoys had detected it. Notice at 7:06, just after midnight, UTC time, you had sudden movement. If you look at the green and yellow and red chart at the bottom, the blue lines are in 15-minute increments. When you have a sudden jolt, you have 1 minute to 15-second increments. The buoy picked up movement, and it picked it up 150 nautical miles offshore. What is that telling us? Again, you've got the Gorda Escarpment, and you have the trenches that end this Blanco fracture zone, part of the Cascadia Basin. So are we seeing subduction again? And guys, that is the one thing you don't want to see dealing with Cascadia or anywhere on the West Coast. But it's that what we're seeing. But guys, keep your heads up on this. Make sure you got plenty of extra food, extra water if you cannot get out of this area. It's kind of a strong warning. I realize that but there's a lot of indicators possibly that in the next couple of days there could be more trouble. We're watching it. Things could change very quickly just today. The earthquakes are coming up 1 a minute as far as aftershocks. We're watching it. You watch it. It's a heads up. Be safe.